Star baby. You don't have to be a star baby to be on my show. You don't have to be a star baby, but you better be bold. Yeah. Shake my pom poms. Shake my pom poms. Shake my pom poms. Well, of course, good evening to you and yours. Of course, you got your girl, Kimberly F. Brown, Brown on Cleveland, inside the Little Hut podcast, where it may get a tad bit hot, especially today as we dive into the 11th Congressional District. But before we do that, I got to say hello to my favorite realtor, my number one sponsor. Her name is Aletha Johnson of Dream Team Realty. And don't forget, if you're looking for commercial property, single home, new development, whatever the case may be, call Aletha right now at 216-375-3681. Also, too, if you're looking for t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, tumblers, cups, mugs, whatever the case may be, call my girl over in Maple Heights. Her name is Angie Marie of New Beginnings 1111 Creations, and her number is 216-395-7335. And of course, I always got to give a shout out to my people over in Garfield Heights. They always sponsor the Little Hut podcast. And I never know why, because I always talk about them. Brown, 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 that darn Brown on Cleveland. Now, today I am so excited because I have another Brown hanging out with me, and her name is Shontel Brown. But let me be correct. She's my congressperson, our congressperson of the 11th Congressional District. Welcome, Congresswoman, inside the Little Hut podcast.
So happy to be with you, Miss Brown.
Are you really?
Yes.
Okay,
Let's keep it that way. Let's keep it that way, Miss Brown.
now you know what they say. It gets a tad bit hot inside the Little Hut podcast. So first of all, happy holidays to you.
Same to you.
And I haven't seen you in a while since the election. So I need to say congratulations
Oh,
to your awesome win.
thank you. Thank you very much. It's been busy. They've been keeping us busy. So it was quite an election, but I'm back in DC and ready to work for the people of Ohio's 11th Congressional District. I'm going to keep bringing it home for us.
Very good. Real quick before we dive into the 11th Congressional District, how was mom? How was dad? Everybody's good?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yes, everyone is good. We had a great, amazing holiday,
Okay.
enjoying each other. That is where I find my solitude and my peace is with my family. So yes, thank you for asking. And how about your mom?
She's okay. She's being who she is, right? Never listen.
I know
Oh,
what that means. Say less, sis.
oh, never stay home and guess on my last loving nerves. How about that, Brown on Cleveland? But listen, it's not about me right now. It's not even about you. It's about the 11th Congressional District. So let's talk about it. Um, for the people who don't know
Mhm.
what the district encompass, can you please tell us what areas you cover in the 11th Congressional District? Brown on Cleveland, Shontel Brown, our Congresswoman inside the Little Hut podcast.
Thank you. So we have quite a few municipalities.
Okay.
We go from the west side of Lakewood all the way as far as Euclid on the east side, and we've got a lot of the southeast suburbs. So your Maple Heights, your Garfield Heights. We got Cleveland Heights. We've even got some of those more affluent suburbs like Orange, Pepper Pike. Moreland Hills, Chagrin Falls. So it's a very diverse district. We go from some of the most impoverished to some of the most affluent in the state, I would argue. And so, I mean, when you've got to represent folks like from East Cleveland all the way to Chagrin Falls, that is a wide range of needs. But I am so thrilled and so honored to be able to do it.
Very good. Now, a lot of us think we know what your job responsibilities are because I hear a lot of people sometimes saying, hey, our Congress people are doing a great job. Then, of course, you have always the naysayers.
Yes.
They're not doing their job. And I always have an issue with that because my thing is, what is their job? And when you ask them those questions, they can't respond. So, Congresswoman, tell us, please, for people who don't know, please tell us what does your job entail as our Congresswoman? Thank you.
So what I do, the Congress controls the purse strings. We can control the budget for the entire country. That is our first priority. We are also legislators, lawmakers. We make laws. As the legislative body of the federal government, we address a number of issues, things that really have a huge impact on our lives, things like abortion rights, which came up during the election. We deal with voting rights, which we think from the congressional level should have some federal national standards. Some things should just be a little bit more universal when it comes to how we vote in this country. You know, you can go over right next door to Pennsylvania and they have same day voter registration on election day, whereas in Ohio, you've got to be registered 30 days in advance. So things like that. We're currently dealing with artificial intelligence, trying to come up with legislation to deal with some of those things. But the thing that I am most proud of the work that we do is the resources that we're able to bring back through major legislation like the bipartisan infrastructure law. And if you will allow me to just brag a little bit, since being, let me get my pom-poms going. Since the people gave me the privilege to be able to serve in the 11th Congressional District, we've been able to bring back over $11.7 billion. Things like $130 million to RTA for new rail cars, $61 million to Cleveland Water, $59 million to the city of Cleveland for development of the lakefront, $50 million for our airport, $36 million for I-490 to repair the Cleveland roadways, $19 million for our metro parks. $500 million to Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance. $500,000 to Cleveland Peacemakers Alliance. So things like that. And those are just the big projects. When we come down to community project funding, we've helped the food bank give $4 million. But the thing that I think people that might be watching this show could appreciate is our caseworkers. We have amazing caseworkers right here in the 11th Congressional District who help people with navigating the red tape of our federal agencies like the IRS, Veterans Affairs, Social Security, even passports. People might not think of us for those things, but those are things that we do. And we've been able to return millions of dollars since I've come to this office to constituents, not these big projects that I just talked about, but constituents who may have had issues with getting some of their tax issues resolved.
You know, I'm glad you said that because that was actually one of my questions on my questionnaire for you. But I know that you bring home millions of dollars because I do get your press release. Thanks to Will. He does a very good job with that. But how do you determine what entity gets what portion of money? How is that decided? Is it decided from you or from a congressional standpoint with a lot of other representatives?
Oh my goodness. Thank you for the question. So I wish I could just rain the money down like that, just on my own influence. But how things work in Congress, we have to reach a threshold of some consensus, some agreement. And in Congress, that threshold is 218 votes. That's the magic number here to get legislation passed, to get appropriations passed. And we have a committee called the Appropriations Committee. The Appropriations Committee is set up to decide how funding is allocated to different districts across the country. And so there's systems and policies and scoring mechanisms in place to determine how resources are distributed throughout the country. And I think this is a good time to remind folks about the census, because the census helps us to determine where the people are so that we can determine how much is needed in the event of a natural disaster, let's say. If we know that there are 100,000 people in this specific area, then we know we need to expend X amount of dollars to help that particular community at that time. So when we do ourselves a disservice by not filling out the census, then we could be shortchanging ourselves of fundamental dollars, especially in times of crisis. We could be shortchanging ourselves fundamental dollars when it comes to programs like SNAP and WIC, because those numbers are based on the census. So we won't get a chance to do the census again until 2050. 2030. And what we need to be thinking about, or at least starting to plant the seeds, is why those things are so important to federal government and how it trickles down to us locally.
Very good. You know, I said I wasn't going to go outside the 11th congressional district, but I don't think I am. You know that the city of Cleveland is going through a charter change right now.
Yep.
And we know that the city of Cleveland will lose 2 council seats.
Yep.
I heard my council president during a press conference, I believe it was last week, and I know he alluded to the fact that this is the reason why people must be honest with the census and fill them out, because this could have a devastating impact. Now, I am going to ask you this. How do you feel about the reduction of the citizenry of the city of Cleveland and what's going to happen? What type of impact will that have on the 11th congressional district, if any, Brownon, Cleveland?
Well, I can't say that it'll have an impact on our office specifically. We will continue to serve this entire city of Cleveland. And what's tricky, even beyond the city of Cleveland, I would be remiss if I did not highlight, in the state of Ohio, because of the census, we were 11,000 people short of retaining the 16 seats that we once held in Ohio. So we lost a seat in Ohio. So we dropped down from 16 to 15. And so they had to redraw our maps. We hear about gerrymandering all the time. And these are things that are, again, they're so interconnected that people just probably don't think about. You're in survival mode. You're trying to make ends meet.
Mm-hmm.
So who would think that just filling out this little form every 10 years could have such damaging impacts to constituents? So now the people of Cleveland are going to have 2 less council members to serve them. That means there's going to be more work on those 15 members, right? Perhaps. So while the 11th congressional district will not be impacted, we know that these seats also belong to the people. So they don't belong to the elected officials that serve them. So I trust that there will be a fair and competitive race for those seats in the city. And I, as a representative of the entire city of Cleveland, look forward to seeing how that shakes out. But we're going to continue to serve everybody in the city of Cleveland, as long as they keep the maps the way they are. Because when I first started, Kim, I only had the east side.
Right.
And then, this my first full term, I was blessed to receive the entire city of Cleveland, because they had Marcy Captor, who lives in Toledo, 2 hours away, once serving the west side of Cleveland. That's insane.
Absolutely. Listen, let's change from that. I want to talk
Okay.
about the young people.
Hey.
You have I don't know what to call them, but you have a group of young people
Mhm.
from high school.
Okay.
And you are very visible, extremely transparent with them. You're always shaking your pom-poms for them, shaking your pom-poms. Why did you decide to, put this group together? And let me give a pause here. I know that other congressional representatives, that they have had youth groups, but your group is out there in the forefront, from my understanding, doing great things. Talk to us about that, Congresswoman.
So my Yaksters, you talk about my Yaksters, my Youth Advisory Council, and they are amazing. They are high school students, juniors and seniors who go through a competitive process to apply to become a part of my Youth Advisory Council. It is a program that my predecessor actually initiated, and we picked up the baton and expanded upon it, creating a curriculum for them to understand how government works.
Mhm.
We thought it was important to start investing in young leaders, so that they could be advocates and champions to help their peers and even their elders understand how government impacts their everyday lives, the benefits of government. And some of these young people are aspiring elected officials. They like to be in government one day. But what they all have in common is that they are some of the best and brightest minds. They are incredibly resourceful, incredibly bright. And we have actually been able to tap into their curiosity, but not only that, their knowledge, to be able to help shape some policies as it relates to the 11th congressional district in the country. So young people, we don't give them enough credit. We have to listen to them. They are the future. Incorporating their voice has been a tremendous asset, and they are, when I was their age, I just have to say, and I hate to sound old, like when I was their age, but when I was their age, and don't scratch your head like I'm old, because let me take my glasses off. So look here now. But when I was their age,
Okay.
I was not engaged in the policy part. They understand policy in
That's
a
good.
way that was very impressive and I
Good.
was pleasantly surprised by them. So they are phenomenal, and they come from all different schools. So we have
See?
private schools, Cleveland Public Schools represented, suburban
Mhm.
schools. They're a phenomenal group. So
Everywhere.
thank you for allowing me to uplift them, because they are amazing.
I get so. All right. Listen, I've had a joy talking with you as always. I don't see you that much in the community, but I know you out there because I'm always covering stories from different areas of the spectrum around here. Newsbury got me busy, as well as your national Fox News. And I'm not a Republican, I'm an independent.
Hey,
Just
hey.
just to say, shake my pom poms. Listen, I want to take you back down memory lane as we wrap this thing up. If I say to you that, watch my words, that Shontel Brown is unselfish, in 60 seconds, what would you say, Brown on Cleveland?
Thank you. Thank you. I That is the goal. I want to. I'm here to serve, and I think that that's what we are called to do as citizens of this country and citizens of this earth, and as fellow Christians. And I know I can say that to you because I know we are believers, and so I think we are called to serve, and serving requires a degree of unselfishness.
All right. If I were to say to you that my former county councilwoman of District 9, Shontel Brown, is unstoppable in
Ooh.
60 seconds, what would you say, Brown on Cleveland?
I would say thank you again, and to God be the glory. I am only as great as He allows me to be. I would also say that that is one of my favorite Corinne Hawthorne songs that gets me motivated when I need a little pick me up. So I don't know if somebody dropped that, if the little angel told you, but Unstoppable is like my theme song. Okay.
All right. Now, if I was to say that Congresswoman Shontel Brown is unbothered
Mm.
in 60 seconds, what would my Congresswoman say?
She would say, "What day of the week is it, and what time is it? Because these fools,
Give my pom pom.
they be trying it." But yes, you gotta stay unbothered. You gotta stay unbossed and unbought. Okay. I would have to put my Shirley Chisholm game on. All right.
Okay. Very good. As always, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. It's always great seeing you. You always smiling, always have a great spirit no matter what. In 90 seconds, I'm just going to give you the floor and tell the listeners of the Little Hut podcast. Oh, and by the way, on our YouTube channel, I've not had my podcast no more than I think 8 months now,
Mhm.
and I'm up to 1.6 yeah, subscribers. So my channel is growing. Eventually, I'm going to be like a Joe Rogan, get
Hey.
those 84 millions, and I am going to control the region. No, but in the meantime, in between time, as I shake my own pom poms, 90 seconds, Congresswoman, tell us what we need to know about what was, what is, and what is to come, and the greatness that you're doing in our 11th congressional district. Sincerely.
Well, I want to congratulate you on the Little Hut podcast and your subscribers, viewers, and followers. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And thank you for the privilege of your audience, Kim. You have always availed your platforms to me, and I do not take that for granted. I love the work that you're doing. And while I know I should be talking about me, I think it's appropriate that we uplift and elevate those people who uplift and elevate us. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you very much. As it relates to me and the people of Ohio's 11th Congressional District, look, we're coming up on some uncertain times, but the Ohio's 11th Congressional District staff will remain intact. We are going to continue to serve you. We are going to be at the same phone number since Lou Stokes was in office. That's 216-522-4900. That's 216-522-4900. If you need help with any federal agency, we are your support system. Do not hesitate to reach out. I would encourage you. We still have people to answer the phone, but the best first step, because you're watching us online, is to fill out the form online so we can get a affidavit so that we can ask questions on your behalf. That's the very first step. That's the first thing you need to do. We need authorizations before we can look into anything to assist you. So do that part, and we will disseminate that to one of our amazing caseworkers, and they will take good care of you. I don't do that work. I am the face, but I have an amazing body of employees and staff and a team that are adept with knowledge that I don't even possess. I rely heavily on them. I get a lot of the credit, but shout out to my team, both in DC and the district office, for making the Ohio 11th Congressional District what it is. I would not be successful without them. So I want to say we're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep working hard for you. And we'll end with happy holidays. And thank you, my sister.
You're so welcome, my cousin.
Yes, yes.
All right. Listen, it's been great talking with you. Thank you for coming inside the Little Hut podcast. You came into a cave where a lot of people run from. They are totally afraid. I don't know why, because I'm just like the nicest person in the world. And I'm very
You intimidate people though. You intimidate people, Kim. You know that. You know that.
Listen, my intelligence, that is not my fault. I will not dummy down for the person next door. But at any rate, once again, Congresswoman Shontel Brown inside the Little Hut podcast. It's always a pleasure and a joy. But listen, you guys, my time is up. Show enough. As I say each and every podcast, listen, I know, Congresswoman, they don't like me, and I'm okay with it, because 9 times out of 10, I don't like them either. But listen, if you need me, call me. Don't talk about me, because you know I will talk about you back, and that is a fact. But always remember, you don't have to be a star, baby. Nope. To be on my show. You don't have to be a star to be on my show, but you better be bold. Say goodbye, Congresswoman.
Bye.
Goodbye.
See you later, cousin.
Yeah, you guys just been inside the Little Hut podcast. Brown, that darn brown on dentist, Cleveland.